in your first act, you've
Yeah.
had a significant amount of kind of major injuries and surgeries that you've kind of touched on, both in high school and in college. And we would be in the rehab room sometimes, the AT room, and whenever you were doing stuff, which I know sucked,
Mhm.
every time
Yeah.
we were in there, you were never sulking or kind of pitying yourself. You're always trying to make the other people in there feel better. So that's something that I really have admired. But what are one or two things and lessons from overcoming those physical and mental obstacles that you think helped you the most over the years?
The first thing that I think of when I'm like lessons is that when you go through injuries or you go through something traumatic or just any big sort of thing that you don't expect to happen or anything that's unexpected, right? Is that at the end of the day, we as humans control nothing, but we
Hmm.
can influence everything. So
Yeah.
like that's kind of the takeaway I take from that is that I know you're religious, much like myself, and
Yep.
I'm sure that you would say as well that you control nothing that happens to you because God controls everything, right? Higher power, everything there. But we can influence what happens to us by the things we do, things we say, financial standpoint, how much money you save, where you're putting it, deciding to wait a little bit longer to merge in traffic. Like it's literally everywhere, influencing like the decisions that could happen.
Uh-huh.
Um, Put it this way, literally. You're on the road. You can't control, obviously, what anybody else is doing in their lane unless you literally like hop in their car and watch your car crash while you're
Right.
trying to do that, right? It's literally like it's impossible.
Uh-huh.
So, and you can't control the person who's behind you, like riding your butt, I guess, as we would say. That's where I'd probably say something else. But in the fast lane, like my road rage, I'd say something else. And instead of, having a big ego and, holding that high pride or whatever, like I'm just going to speed up or I'm going to keep going or I'm just going to slow down just to make them mad, like you can influence it. And make that go away by just simply getting rid of your ego. Like, have you ever thought I feel like people really don't think about this, like when it comes to traffic, and I just drive a lot, so I notice this, but have you ever thought that maybe somebody is super close to you or like trying to speed really fast, like you're like, I'm already going like 85 miles an hour, why are you trying to like pass me right now?
Yeah,
Well, maybe they're trying to get to the hospital for a dying family member.
it's true.
Maybe someone is late to their son or daughter's wedding, maybe somebody's late to their daughter's dance recital, like their third
Yeah.
grade one, whatever, you just never know. And that's my point in relation to like my injuries. We never know really how to control the things that happen to us before they happen because we don't have that control or that power at all. We can only influence. So how does that really relate to my injuries going forward? Well, obviously I didn't choose to tear both my ACLs in high school
Right.
or, tear both labrums in my hips in college and then, have another one this year post college, have another surgery. Like I couldn't control any of those things whatsoever, but I can influence prevention going forward, not 100%, but even a little bit, with strength and the ways that I'm working my body and what I'm eating and what I'm drinking and how I'm sleeping and all of that. My mindset on how I'm going to change and go forward. And etc. Like I could have just been like, wow, this really sucks. And I did do that because that does suck. Like it's not
Naturally.
exciting
Of
at
course.
all, but right, naturally. Like you're going to be emotional a little bit, but you can either sit in those emotions and just be like, wow, this sucks and this is my situation or whatever. Or you could just be like, okay, cool. There's nothing I could have done to prevent this 100%. I'm choosing not to be paralyzed by this situation that I'm in. It's part of who I am. So I'm going to accept it as part of God's plan and keep moving forward and allow this to teach me some things. And that was very similar. That's something, honestly, that I learned really heavy back in the summer of 2015 when I lost my brother to cancer before my freshman year of college. Like I couldn't control any of that, and
Right.
nobody can in those situations, but I could influence the way I was handling that and by the hand that I was dealt and how I responded to it. So that's the first lesson that I really think of when I think about my injuries and stuff. And the second one, it's super simple. It's not anything too in depth, is how to watch the garden grow, really. Meaning playing the long game.
Hmm.
So like growing up, my family actually owned and still owns like a 3 to 5 acre garden. Like it's massive, it's huge. And my parents would send me there like when they were mad at me or if I was getting in trouble or something, they'd send me there to like do work on the garden. And some of the things, yeah, it was crazy. Some of the things would take like multiple months and sometimes like almost years to grow into what they needed to. And over my entire life, since I've gotten hurt, I've literally spent a total of almost 3 years. Like if you were to combine all of my rehabbing together, it comes out to like a total of 3 years. It's
Dang.
crazy. And it's a process. And it takes time to heal a lot of those injuries that I had, 6 months minimum for literally each, if not longer. So how I view this now, going into life and how I'm reacting to certain situations that happen to me, or like running a business, like it's almost impossible to think short term when you get to this stage in your life. And I'm sure you'd
Yeah.
agree with that.
Very true.
And I'm always thinking at least, yeah, I'm always thinking, 3 to 5 years in advance, at least. Like I'm planning that. I'm making my dreams list for that, like years down the road. And it's like same thing in everyday life. Like when shit hits the fan, I'm typically never like triggered instantly to react. Like I'm not. I take time, I decompress, evaluate if this is urgent or important or what the value or of that is to me, and act once more things, become logical to me. And I've never really, put it this way, I've never regretted waiting to hit the send button, like on anything, like reacting emotionally. Like I'm a big person and just like waiting it out. Is it gonna bother me in a week? Is it gonna bother me in a couple weeks? Like, does it weigh like that much to me? And then that's probably the second lesson I would say that I've learned a lot in getting hurt in those things, spending some time rehabbing and whatnot.